all of our lives were like an onion, and the more you peel away, you finally get to the core of who you really are.
Yes.
And what we do as humans is we sort of surround ourselves with layers of stories and nonsense and guardrails and protection, in many cases from things that maybe happened, maybe didn't happen. And it was really one of my early mentors who said, have you ever thought about going to a therapist? And I said, well, that's funny because at this point I was maybe 3 years into being a business coach.
Okay.
So, 26-ish, something like that, 25, something like that. And then he reminded me that every therapist has a therapist, and every business coach who takes on the problems of all of his clients or all of her clients needs to have some outlet. So it's not that I've been in therapy for, 25 or 30 years, but what if I told you that last night I found myself calling arguably one of the greatest therapists, certainly living today, 40 years of 4-hour-a-day, 5-minute sessions, real time helping people around the world. His name is John Jolliffe. He's just an extraordinary human being. Called him yesterday and said, hey, I'm in town. I need to see you. And he said, is there anything wrong? I'm like, no, but I'm human. So I'm sure there's something there to unpack. So I'm a fan of, who was it? Was it Socrates that said like, a life that isn't examined and re-examined isn't a life worth living?
That's right. That's how you learn.
Right.
So one of the most powerful things in life is pattern matching.
For sure.
A great investor, an Australian investor, taught me this. And, we're each living a path to a degree that others have walked others are currently walking. And if you have the openness to study their path and your own, you could choose where you go with this thing.
Right.
And that could come from being reflective in therapy, from a coaching session, or from a mentor.
Here's the challenge, though. So we take on a path of someone else. We take on a model of someone else, and we say, like, okay, I want to emulate that gal. I want to emulate that guy. You start to run those plays over and over again, but oftentimes it isn't your most authentic self. It's not really your DNA, but it gets you a certain result. But then what I found is you get to the end result, and you're not satisfied.
Isn't that funny?
Me? So you're
Isn't
like,
that funny?
Right. So you're like, I achieved the goal, but I'm miserable. And so I think a lot of it for me is just the constant. Jay Abraham is a mentor of mine. He says, if you don't reimagine yourself every 18 months, if you don't reimagine your business every 18 months, you become irrelevant to the marketplace.